Why do I have to talk?
Just so you can have a little extra pain in your life.
Oh yeah, that's
How are
it.
you doing, by the way?
I'm fine. So worst thing right now is getting consistent sleep. Like I got about 3 hours last night before I got so uncomfortable I had to change where I was and what I was doing. So
I'm just pulling everybody in to invite to speak. So if you want to, you don't have to come in to speak, but you're welcome to. If it starts to get a little noisy, I'll whittle it down to whoever's got the stage. Um,
yeah,
but
fine, be that way.
yeah. You know, I tell you, uh, I really wish that we could be doing this in person. I would love to be, have drinks and desserts, and just good old celebration. But alas, we're online.
Yeah, but we can figure out something that we can do. But yeah, we need to have a little bit of a yay, we're here kind of event, right?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. I'm hoping Bart was able to pull together a little something for after the meeting. Maybe Bart.
Hey, like, is there a way to raise your hand to talk so you don't over jump other people?
Well, yes, but since we pulled everybody to the stage, that doesn't work.
Right now, everybody can talk. Yeah.
All right.
So,
Is that
Well,
better?
that's cool because I do like talking. But
all right.
gosh, you guys, anyway, hey, everyone, I'm glad to see you all or talk to y'all. Obadiah here.
Yep.
Yep.
So, Bart, were you able to?
Oh, I remember what I was gonna say.
Did you have a few cycles?
Can we have a chat box? So those of us who want to like crosstalk or counter talk or write notes could write notes. I don't know how to do that.
Yeah. There is a chat. If you look in the upper right hand corner, if you're using the desktop client, there's a little chat bubble.
Can you hear me now?
See? There we go.
Yes, Bart, we now hear you.
All right.
Excellent.
Hmm.
Yeah, I've got Comcast jumping in and out on me, so I do apologize.
No,
But
no worries,
I am
man.
here.
Excellent. Were you able to whip up a little special something for us?
I can definitely do a demo for Fantasy Grounds. For anybody who's not familiar with Fantasy Grounds Unity, I can also run through some basic encounters because if we're trying to limit it to about an hour, that's about 2 encounters.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And that's kind of what I had in mind anyway.
Hmm.
So I had in the email for anybody that got it and read it, I said AD&D and correct. I should have said 5e. So to be very clear on exactly what rule set we were.
That just shows your age, and that's okay. I hear you.
I know in my heart it'll always be AD&D.
Hey, I'm just wondering too. What's the status of those books?
I can send those. Yeah.
You just let me know what shipping is.
I will. It'll probably be like $200 or $300.
Right.
Not media shipping's usually pretty good. All right, so yeah, usually for most meetings there is a format that we follow. This is going to be a little bit of a little different than that, just because we're getting together just to say rah, we did it. We were able to charter. We got our officers and board elected, and we do have some work ahead of us. We've got to do things like identify a beneficiary for our efforts. So there's that. We also have to talk about what those efforts will end up looking like. We've kind of spitballed and just thrown thrown some ideas against the wall, but I don't think anybody's actually taken a look to see if anything sticks. So yeah, I think we need to do that in earnest. I don't know if tonight's the right night for that, but just kind of putting it out there. That's where we are. One of the things I haven't heard about, have we gotten any kind of indication on whether or not we're going to be good to go with the Pixels and Dice name?
Well, we won't until I officially submit the request, and I still need 4 more people to officially submit the request. Bart and I have some screws that we're putting to certain people to
Gotcha.
do this. And Bart, we really need to get it done by really the 14th.
Well, I tell you what, if we can pull together a session 0 for a 5e game, I've got one of Mark's friends. He's been his best friend since high school. Mm-hmm. He is very eager to jump in and start playing, and I'm sure it would only take a minor twist of the arm to get him to. Well, he's in Florida though. Do you need?
I need Georgians.
You need.
I need Georgians to do this. Yeah.
Gotcha. So. All right, I've got somebody that's in Georgia that might be able to fit that bill.
I mean, at this point, even if people are, just willing to, financially support us, they don't have to, be here or participate actively right now. But we need to get things off the ground. We've got enough people, guys. That's not the problem. We've got plenty of people. We just have to meet the official, rules of having, of the first 20 people, 15, 16 of them have to come from Georgia. So literally we get that done and then we'll be okay to go. So
cool.
We're sitting on 12 right now, 12 or 13 right now. We need 3 more.
Yep.
So this is Mark Mithal. I'm going to ask a silly question. I'm sorry, but if I'm repeating something you already know, or this is silly, but I've been a Rotarian, and Rotary has different rules for e-clubs that that kind of like blow through that. There's nothing like that for Lions?
Lions,
right?
It's a very valid question, Mark. And the problem right now is Lions have just started really modifying some of those.
Fair, that's fair.
And it will change significantly in the next year or 2, but it hasn't changed yet.
That's fair. How close are you on the California side? Because I can wrangle up 4, possibly 5 from California, but that's not going to help you unless you have enough Californians.
Yeah, I think we're only at 3 or 4 from California right now, so we'd have to do it. And that would also mean changing who our sponsor club is and a couple of other things.
Never mind. Just trying to provide options. Sorry.
Yes. Yeah. No, that's great thinking. Great thinking. I wanted to point out that Obadiah he was asking about what we might do, and he was talking about some things that he's done in the past. Hamburgers. Cooking hamburgers and cheeseburgers. That's I love the idea. Garner and I have plenty of experience cooking up hamburgers and cheeseburgers to earn money for the Lions Club. But being a virtual club, I think most of our stuff is going to be. I'm not saying that it has to be, but I think most of our stuff will probably end up being online. I love that. Mithal says virtual hamburgers are cheap. That's great. That's all. Yeah.
Digital cupcakes and virtual hamburgers. I like it.
So I don't really want to try to figure out something tonight. But if everybody can go ahead and just start thinking about potential beneficiaries and potential activities. I know that Cuckoo Snow, that's Chris Jr., my son, he is interested in organizing an esports event, and not sure how that would look for from the fundraising side, but I'm sure that we can figure out something there. And we've talked about doing various types of virtual tabletop games. Garner, I believe you mentioned something about a potential celebrity game. of course, those are great ideas as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. So basically, there are multiple, you know, names in the gaming industry who have said that they would be really willing to, play in games. And so what we would do is we could, set it up so that we have, let's say that we got 5 celebrities that are going to participate. We set up 5 different games and put one of them in each, and then they can then they can uh, other people can pay for the spot to play with those celebrities, right? So that would be the approach that I would suggest we take.
Now, are you talking about when playing with the celebrities? Are you talking about a physical game or virtual game?
Virtual game.
Okay.
No, I'm talking
Cool.
virtual game. You know what? I expect that, given my relationship with Luke and Gary Kahn, that we can definitely do some physical things as well if we wanted to, but it's not something that's not a topic that I broached with him yet. So
Oh, that's awesome. Mithel's got some. He's got possibility of maybe twisting some authors to help run for a benefit. So that'd be cool. Yeah. So one of the things that we do, which some of y'all may not be aware of, and when I say we, I'm talking about the Keraka Gaming regulars. We stream our virtual tabletop games when we play, or at least record them. But we typically will stream those, and we're going to be looking at ways of monetizing those. So subscriptions, donation buttons, Patreon, things like that, which could be a regular funnel of money into the club's coffers. So we'll have to figure out exactly what that's going to look like and the guidelines that we'll have to set up around that. But I'm pretty sure that that's something that we can make available to everybody. Like I stream on my personal channel, I'll probably end up putting a little donation box there for that. Say, and even say, all proceeds from the stream are go to the Pixels and Dice Lions Club to benefit whoever it is we decide to benefit.
Excellent.
you got quiet. Too quiet.
Yeah, it did get quiet.
I'm writing away, man. I'm just typing like a madman.
Don't kill yourself over that. We do record these, and I am going to be putting it out.
I don't mind. Sometimes
right
I'm more
after.
comfortable writing than talking. That's my own journey.
Yeah. Hey, that's great. I didn't know if you if your pen and paper were starting to smoke up the room, or if you use shorthand of some sort. But the option of just watching the video and transcribing that or hitting the highlights after is always definitely a possibility there. So, woohoo! So I am recording this. I'm not streaming
I'm only
tonight.
a board member, so I want you guys in charge to be in charge. Like I respect chain of command and all that, but I also want everyone to have their voice and also I can be very chatty, so I try and limit myself. So that's why I try and keep myself on the crosstalk side talk.
All good.
It's all right, man. It's all right, and I appreciate the restraint as well. That's I like the fact that you recognize that you're chatty and that you're trying to rein yourself in a little bit. So, and that's that's a skill I wish more people had. Let's see. I don't know. Did our tail twister prepare anything for this evening for along the tail twisting lines?
Well, as usual, I was going to pick on Garner, but since he's recovering from surgery, I'm not sure if that's probably the wisest move.
I'm okay with it.
All right.
Hey,
Okay, wait.
Somebody else who's been in the hospital recently. You can always pick on me.
Yeah.
Congratulations, by the way.
got a joke, though.
Yeah.
Thank
So I heard your weight loss program was a success.
Yeah, I'm down 22 pounds in a week and a half.
I
Very
take
That's
it.
awesome. Congratulations. It's hard.
I take it, Mama and baby are healthy.
Oh, I didn't get that at all. I thought you were actually losing weight or whatever. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
It's okay. Yep, we're both good. We are both good and happy.
Well,
Happy
that's
and sleeping
awesome.
well. So we're
Oh,
just
good.
talking.
Good.
Hey, Amy says she's got a joke.
Okay.
In Star Wars, how did 4, 5, and 6 come from 1, 2,
I don't know why.
You'll have to repeat that, Garner. We didn't really hear that.
Okay, say it again, Amy.
In the Yoda movies, why did 4, 5, and 6 come before 1, 2, and 3?
Why?
Because Yoda was in charge of production. He was.
Ah.
Boo.
I have to unmute myself to laugh at that one. That was funny.
Yeah. Well, good.
May I ask, for those of us that are still fairly new to the Lions Club, can we get a brief definition of a tail twister? I've been dying to hear the formal job description.
Yes, so I will
Garner,
gladly give that. So my father says that the tail twister is the most important officer in the club. And
Of course, his
in a
father
way-
has that position quite often.
Yes, that's correct. That is the perennial tail twister, and he's also I guess the guy who gets up in front of us and tells us all that it's the most important 5 minutes in Lionism we're about to experience. But truly, we have taken to heart that when you get together, it's not just about a bunch of people trying to get something done. I mean, that's important. But in order to maximize your ability to get things done, people have to not just be there, but they have to, want to be there. And part of that is having a good time. And if you want to be really erudite about it, you can say that the job of the tail twister is to ensure the esprit de corps of the club. But what that really means is just make sure that we're happy, that we're laughing, that we're having a good time together. And even if you educate us a little bit, or if you are just telling some jokes to lighten the mood or other things like that, that's what we do. Now that's what the tail twister does. Now, in addition to that, though, there is a tradition that we can adopt or not adopt as we see fit. But when somebody in particular is either picked on or justifiably picked on, you find the tail twister finds them. So if somebody does something dumb, that's always worth bringing up, socializing, and making sure that the tail twister finds them. And the typical fine is like $1. So it's not anything that anybody has a problem with. But there's always a little bit of joking around and other things like that. So I can promise you, if people like and by the way, Chris, did you invite Slidell Pickle to move up? I know that's both Dylan and Lindsay is who that is on that.
I did not.
So
let's see. Oh, there we go. Yep. Let's do that.
Yeah, but if they wanted to talk, because usually Lindsay likes to talk. But
I know Kathy got delayed. That's why she probably didn't accept earlier.
that's all good. But you can guarantee that if my kids do something that's worth making fun of, that I will give that to the tail twister, and the tail twister can find them. And I can promise you that if Shelly knows something that Kathy should be fined for, or vice versa, those two sisters will make sure that the tail twister knows and can dole out fines as necessary.
I've got to say, this makes a lot more sense. Originally, I just thought it was like the bar in Dusk Till Dawn. So yeah, this makes a lot more sense.
Oh yeah.
Wait, there's a bard in Dusk Till Dawn?
Oh,
bar.
dude, you need to rewatch that.
Sorry,
Yeah.
just got out of the D&D movie. Bards are still in my head.
Oh, a
How
bar.
was it? Was it good? I'm never gonna see
Uh,
it.
It was Nathan and I, Origin, who's also on here, very silent. We saw it as the Amazon premiere before it actually came on, and it was very interesting. I mean, as a lifelong D&D nerd, I had some bones to pick, but overall, excellent.
How many times can
That's
you
good
shape
to
change
hear. I
again?
like.
I think you're thinking of a different movie, Mythal.
What? No, the Honor Among Thieves. What are you thinking about?
I thought we were saying it was the bar at the end of From Dusk Till Dawn.
Well, we changed topics.
Yeah.
No,
Kinda
there was a bard.
midstream.
Apparently, there was a bard, and then everything swung out of control.
Yeah,
All right,
I
okay,
heard
I have to
someone
ask
say
this old guy
Bard.
here. I want to ask one question. So, like, we are the general meeting of Pixels and Dice Lions Club, yes?
Yes.
I would like to create a group, an action group, to look into having our presence at virtual conventions or even starting our own conventions.
Well,
where we
it's
can run,
great that you
like, we
mentioned
run
that.
money for charity.
It's
Right?
great
Because,
that
like,
you mentioned that
everything
because
charges like $5 or whatever. We get on Warhorn. You know, like, let's start, right? We are GMs. We are players. Let's play games, mother scratchers.
yeah. So the fun thing there is we will be forming committees within the club, and the people that lead these committees, they don't have to be members of the board, but they can be. They don't have to be officers, but they can be. But the committees will be tasked with doing something exactly what you're talking about. So there will very likely at some point be a committee put together for being a presence at a con somewhere, or anything along those lines.
Well, Gen Con is taking the EO virtual submissions right now. So that's a thing that's like time limited. So that's like a thing we'd have to get on.
It's funny you should bring that up because there's a small con in West Virginia that I was thinking about going there as a presence for membership drive. The fee for a table is pretty small. It's like $70 to $100 for the. But it's a first year and it's a very small con. It's being sponsored by Lonely Hero Games, and the name of the con escapes me at the moment.
So
I like everything you're saying. So does that mean like we need to give you like a banner or some material that shows you, or like you're saying like would our organization then support you? Like you need gas and food money, something like that? Because like
I was going to pay for my ticket into the con. Support material would be good, just like what we did. I know we got that nice flyer that I was able to use last month at a con. This one's going to be more gaming oriented in nature, so it's probably a better venue than the last one. But yeah, if I could get some level of support for that, that'd be great. That was something I was actually going to bring up at the directors to see what level of support are we going to have for being a presence, at least for membership. And it's something kind of I would
think
like to
that's
kind of discuss. I
yeah.
think just open that for kind of a discussion. How much support can individuals, because as a virtual club, there's going to be all these little things all over the place that people can get to if they want to donate some of their time to do that. But as opposed to a local club that's got a presence, you're only doing things in a like in Georgia, right, where you guys are in Georgia. You would have something that you could show a presence at. We're literally across the country, so I'm not sure that we have the resources, I guess, to do that a lot. And and that's kind of where I'm at with what level of support can we do as a club, because physical presence, although we're virtual and we can get ourselves out there virtually, physical presence is where you're going to, I think, get membership level support.
Let me weigh in on a couple of different related topics and
Yeah.
try to answer your question at the same time.
Sure.
So first of all, a very important thing to note, and we've talked about this before, is that we have two separate accounts. So one of the things that we have to do is we have to keep our administrative funds separate from our activities funds. And activities funds are monies that we take from the public that has to go back to the public. Administrative funds are funds that we have that come from Lions. Okay. And a lot of that is being supported by our sponsoring club to start with. There's some funds that are being kicked in. And then some of us are paying dues. If you're under 30, you're not paying dues. And then there are other ways that we can, collect money. And I think part of that is going to be, it could be fundraisers that we do that are administrative fund fundraisers, or they could be fundraisers that we do that are activities fundraisers. Okay. And so to the reason why I say that, Jerry, is because if we're going to buy a table per se, that is something that is really a administrative fund type thing, and that one's actually kind of gray because the way that you said it, we're soliciting for membership, and that's really an administrative fund thing. If we were soliciting for funds from the public, that might be an activities fund, and therefore potentially be covered by the activities fund. But the idea is make sure that you keep those two separate and that we're always above reproach from a how we manage our money standpoint. All right. So I think I beat that drum long enough.
Before you move on
Yeah.
to your next point, and I hadn't even thought about it as a fundraising table. What happens when you are kind of doing both? Is there a way that you can do that?
You can allocate. I mean, I'm sure you could allocate, right? It could be 50-50 or whatever. That's how I've seen that done before.
Well, let me say it this way. I personally would never make it less than 50% administrative. And what I mean by that is that yes, you can split that, but I would never want to say, hey, public, we think you should pay for more than 50% of this if we're going to be doing anything that's administrative related to it. That's just
that makes sense.
That's my way to make sure that I'm always above reproach, right?
But there's another. I mean, aside from the accounting aspect, the topic so far, a very interesting one, is, and it's really cool that we're doing this early in the club's nascency, is presence at events, presence at cons, whether it's virtual or physical, right? And there's logistics with both. And then to the purpose of that, right? Is it to get membership, raise awareness, and or get support? Whatever the cause, I think it's going to vary on a case-by-case basis. For example, we're talking about initially in-person events. If it's something on the West Coast where I'm already going, or Winter Fantasy with Baldwin that I go to religiously, I could certainly drum up for membership. I don't need a table, and I won't have time to man anything like a table, but that's just me. Others might be able to donate time to actually sit at a table or man at a table if that's what you want to do. Or we could do, if we're doing fundraisers and it's a local event, local to a few people, maybe we could take turns. For example, Comic-Con. Does anybody work Comic-Con from a DM perspective? Because I've done that for 3 years now. So if someone worked that particular con, we could take turns, right? We could have a little booth or something, because otherwise there's no coverage. I just don't have the time to do it. But that doesn't mean I can't rope 2, 3, 4 DMs to join.
Yeah. So, and my presence at San Diego has always been virtual. Basically, I got suckered into doing a bunch of virtual games by Fantasy Grounds by Smiteworks.
Yeah, that's how I started. I remember that year. That was the year they gave us the free books. I remember that very
right.
well.
I love free stuff.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
well worked for free stuff.
no doubt, but I am going. I'm on the board of directors for GaryCon, so guaranteed I'm going to be physically there every year, and I am going to be at Gen Con staying with Peter Atkinson. So for those of you who don't know, he is the CEO of Gen Con.
That is Gen Con. That's the avatar of Gen Con, right?
Are you guys gonna have like a suite, like a party suite?
Well, there is a party suite. I'm not staying in this party suite. I'm staying a couple of doors down on purpose. But
Smart.
but I will be in that party suite most of the time. So Luke and I are going to be running.
As they like to say, sex, drugs, and Dungeons and Dragons.
I feel like there will be, very, very little of the illicit versions of any of those. But everybody's free to do whatever else is non-illicit. But and all the D&D will be non-illicit. But regardless, there are opportunities that I have not yet even begun to explore with them about how we could, potentially have both a virtual and a physical presence at Gen Con that could get us the notoriety, the attention, that we're looking for. And so that's going to be an open conversation that I'm going to let him kind of help us direct. And we want to, like, I'm willing to take any ideas that any of you have and present them to him, but it will be a conversation really with the guy who runs the D&D convention, the ultimate D&D convention.
Well, the problem
every year.
I don't want to interrupt you, but the problem is that they've already closed what's going to happen physically, right? So if
I'm not saying we change anything for this year. I'm saying that this is
I am. Maybe we can put together a troop, like a vanguard, what do they call the guys that go in front? A peloton, right? In the racing of the bicycle.
Lemmings? I think they're called lemmings.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm just playing.
Maybe we can pull it. What better time than now, man? We have to seize the day. I don't mean like I really hated.
Except for the fact that you're right that they've cut off any new events, so we're not going to get anything on their catalog or anything.
Yeah, but if you're
that.
sleeping with this guy, you can probably sneak us in.
Well,
perhaps we should think about how we phrase certain things.
I'm sorry.
Or we phrase them exactly the way we do.
If you're bunking up, if you're a bunk buddy, is that like in the military? I'm sorry.
Nailed it.
Yep. But
so,
go ahead.
All I was going to say, realistically speaking, doing these things, summer's a big time for a lot of different conventions. The convention, you're going to have multiple different. Nugget, do not jump that fence. Sorry. Sorry. But
I love that. I just love that you name your kid Nugget.
So close. It's my Goldie mix. He's a rescue.
I figured.
But he, one of my dogs. He's an escape artist, but it's selective. Only when he wants to. But he doesn't do it all the time, and not when you're watching. Anyways, so being so close to summertime, where there is going to be so many different events.
Did we lose her?
Well, that was anticlimactic.
Yes, you're going to have Dragon Con, you're going to have Gen Con, you're going to have all these things coming up. Try to fit in so quickly. However, that's not saying that we couldn't have a couple people who are going to go to Gen Con, or are going to go to GaryCon, or are going to go to all these conventions who have flyers. Say, hey, you like doing this stuff? We're working on this for next year. Why don't you guys show us some interest? And hey, if you want to do these things in the off time too, here's a flyer. Come check us out, because we're going to be running all these kinds of games and bringing all these like-minded people together. It doesn't have to necessarily be official things to start out. I do agree, jumping on it is a good thing. But we're not feasibly going to be able to do official things right away because of the short-term notice.
Yeah, we've got to find our
a little bit. Yeah, let me jump in though a little bit here and say that,
Mhm.
guys, all of you are giving good ideas about what we can do, but we will only be able to do so much, and we do need to have kind of some guidance for everybody. So
Mhm.
Jerry brought up, hey, if I'm going to a local con, can I get a table? What does, like, we as a club need to have a policy manual, and so come up with the policies of what we
Mhm.
think is okay. How many people, can we support in a year? How do you figure out who you're going to support in a year? Do you let certain people request? Do you make sure that anybody who has never had a chance to do it, that they get a chance to do it? Do you, like, all of those types of things have to be questions that we need to do in a way that's fair to all of the members that are here. Hey, Toad,
Correct.
you need to mute.
That,
I
that
So
sounds
was
that
I'm
muted.
getting,
I
almost sounds
didn't say
like a
anything.
that
it's
almost
okay. I'm
sounds
getting
like a
feedback. Go ahead, Jerry.
I said that almost sounds like kind of a committee roundtable, of looking, where perhaps we look at some point we just gather, the committee gathers, what are where will people make themselves available, and then have a uh, some sort of bracket stack, some sort of, how do we, because again, understand that there are limited funds. You can't
Hmm.
do everything.
All right.
And
Hey,
the,
this is me, Obadiah again. I sort of disagree. I don't want anyone's funds, but I like the idea that we all go out there and start gathering data. Because I'm going to GM at Gary Con and Gen Con and Game Con no matter what, right? But am I going to,
Yeah.
do you want me to GM under Pixel and Dice, or am I just GMing on my own? How do we feel
Well,
about, or do I have a
I
table?
do like the idea of GMing together under Pixels and Dice. Like that is one thing that each of these larger conventions allow for. And so you, as a group, you can say, hey, we're all with, Pixels and Dice,
Yeah, I mean, we
and
can have
we
our own room, like Pixels and Dice room, right? Like, why not?
you could. Yeah, you absolutely could. So I do like that idea for the bigger ones, but the smaller ones aren't going to have that. And so that'll be something that is, I think, in addition, it's separate from what Jerry was specifically asking for to begin with, and that's okay. Like, both of those are very reasonable things to do.
But I have to also add, I am totally against the policy manual going first. Because remember, the first Navy SEALs were UDT and they didn't know what they were doing. There was guys blowing up shit in the water to let Americans land to defend America or whatever, whatever how you feel on this shit. But right, there's no manual to being the first. And we're the first, right? So let's let our people work, and then we have a committee that processes that.
Okay.
but again, what's the decision process? If like, if you want to go in, there's two objectives here. One is the game masters and GMing and running games in a way that generates funds. And if you want to, and then there's also the aspect where I started this from, was you also need a presence where your focus is, at least in part, on generating membership in the club. And
And that's a fair. I mean, that's a
yeah,
fair question. If I may,
yeah,
and forgive me, I don't know everybody's names. I just see the screen name. So, Jerry, was it?
yeah, yeah. It's me.
So
And
Jerry,
and again, I'm okay. I'm I'm well enough off that I'll pay for the freaking table myself.
Sure.
In this case, it's not that much money. I'm going to the con anyway, so
right?
I'm willing to do that and consider it a donation to the club.
And that goes back to your.
Other people may not be in that position, and that's the only reason I raised that at this point in time.
Yep.
And I think, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. I think there's a little bit of a lag. Welcome to Discord. So I think you bring up very good points, and I think Slidell also brought up another aspect of that. I'm paraphrasing, but there are a lot of ways we can contribute, right? It doesn't have to be all or nothing. It doesn't have to be. In your case, you have a table, makes sense. But I may not have time at the conference or convention rather that I'm going to, the con that I'm going to, and I might only be able to do mouth to, like word of mouth recruiting, right, at the bar or at the après ski or whatever. And whether it's recruiting for membership or getting the knowledge and the visibility out there for donations, I think there's a lot we could still do. Going back to, I don't remember who said it, the having guidance or a manual, it doesn't need to be, Obadiah, it doesn't need to be heavy. It could be a single page with just a few little bullet points to get us some basic guidance, right? Some outline to help answer these questions. And we can make it up as we go along, which is what we're going to do anyway. But I think it does help the club to have just a little bit of understanding of if you're doing an event and you're going to be there anyway and you want to talk about the club, here are the things you could do. Here are the things we ask you not to do. If you're going to do something that's more official, run it by the officers or run it by someone. I don't know, because again, different clubs have different rules. And to your point, some of us don't need the financial backing. Some of us may even be able to help with donations. So whether ours or through other organizations. So we're just waiting for the right time for that. But the question is still valid of what is okay for me as a member to do at an event in the name of the club, right? I think that's the question.
Yeah, that's a very good separate question. And so basically anything that the board approves. Okay. So if you want to suggest something that doesn't require any expenditures and you want to say, I want to represent the club in this capacity, as long as the board approves that, that's okay.
No, I guess I misphrased that. I'm sorry. But wasn't it's more of a thought-provoking question, right? It wasn't meant to be an actual question, but for example, this guidance that we're looking to put together, this manual, this one pager, let's say 2-pager, whatever. One of the things we could pre-approve as a club is if you are simply recruiting other members as an individual based on your interest, that's pre-approved, right? Because we do that anyway. We do that for all clubs,
Correct.
right?
Yep.
If you are going to run an event that you are doing on your own and you are as an individual are donating that money, then like let's say I decide to do an online event and I want all the $5, $20 proceeds, whatever it is, per seat to go to the club. And as long as you follow these guidelines, you don't market it as a Lions Club event, you just do it for the benefit of, then that's okay. So those are the kind of things we probably need to start thinking about. And I'm sure there's some literature existing from other clubs. It's probably not gaming specific, but there'll be general literature from other more established clubs that will say, I know Rotary had this, where you could go look and say, here's kind of like the things you can and can't do. And we could like take and just simplify it, drill it down to like a simple page or two and give specifics. That way we can keep it simple, to Obadiah's point of not, burying ourselves in bureaucracy, but yet still have some guidelines. Does that make sense?
Yep, it does. All right. So these are all great ideas. I love everybody's suggestions. What I would love for us to do for the remainder of the meeting is just the intention of this meeting was to be a little bit more a little bit lighter. This is a celebration of the fact that we've actually been able to come together. Yeah,
Chris, it looks like Obadiah has some sort of follow up he wants to ask about what Mythal was just talking about. It's in chat. He's kind of raising his hand in chat there.
Oh. Hey, Obadiah, you got a quick one?
Hey, man. Yeah, like I get really nervous about can and can't and authority and stuff, right? Like we run our games and we embrace difference according to our own world, right? But like we can't. Yeah, are you saying like we can't run like thirsty lesbians or flame princess or like what are the rules, right? Because like different areas are more restrictive than other areas, right? And I guess I just want to know you guys would have like it's not like I'm running like a I mean I don't know. I'm just like that's the question I sort of have is like what does appropriate mean in that situation and what do the rules mean in that situation?
Wait. If that was directed at me, that was certainly not where I was going with that at all. If that was
Well,
directed
then
at
I
the board, I
apologize
will let
because
them
that's what
answer.
I was
No, no,
like,
no, 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 no,
Yeah.
no. It's a guideline for what we can do to help the club or what we shouldn't do to help the club, because some things don't help. That's all I was thinking. No one's talking content. No one's talking diversity or any of that. And if you want to get me on my sandbox, I will run all sorts of things for everybody. I'm
no, man,
out and
I think you're
open.
awesome. I'm not troubling you. I don't mean
No,
any
no, I
trouble
know, I
by
know.
it.
I found it ironic that you used that as an example. I'm an open member of the LGBTQ plus community, so there's no issues. I was only talking about structure as far as it relates to us helping promote the club or raise for the club. That's it.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll have guidelines along those lines.
I'm sorry,
So
friend.
let's.
Maybe I misunderstood. Whenever I hear like rule books, I get a little up, you know.
Yeah, well, there does have to be a little bit of structure, but no, it's it's. I don't think anything's going to be like what you're fearing. So if you think something's headed in that way, feel free to speak up. But your mind shouldn't jump straight there, because that's not what Lionism is about. So anyway,
No, that's exactly it. That's not what line is about. But we're
Yeah.
fighting against a world which is actually fighting us.
Yeah. So I say we go ahead and let's bring this back to the reason why we're together tonight. This isn't a general meeting. This is us patting each other on the back, because we've actually had a pretty big accomplishment here, getting enough folks to charter the club. Although we do have a little hiccup there in Georgia. We're working on resolving that. We've managed to settle on a name, which I think a lot of us really like. I know I do, and I haven't heard anybody spit at it yet, and that's good. Wow, we had a really great election process. I think the folks who wanted to participate in the officer positions and the board, I think I think everybody stepping up and raising their hand for that really deserves a pat on the back. It's and the fact that sometimes when I've seen some organizations have some real issues when it comes to electing officers, and I am just so glad. No, I'm not talking Lions Clubs. I'm just talking other organizations. I've seen some really bad fallout from elections, and I'm glad we had nothing even hinting of anything like that. Everybody that wanted a position, got a position. Some of us were strong-armed into it. I'm kidding. But I was talking about myself. But it's I think we've done a really good thing here. I think that we've got a bunch of like-minded folks that really want to use something that we find both entertaining and fulfilling in our lives, entertaining and socially fulfilling. And oh yeah, you did strong arm Bart into his position, didn't you? And the great thing is he didn't even really find out what it was until like last week. So
I
that's even better.
had no idea. I thought it was the bar in Dustle Dawn. So.
It's okay, he's naturally the tail twister anyways, so it works out, It's okay. We all play into it. Although I was muted because we were driving when we had to jump on the meeting. Bad timing. We lost track of time. But I wanted to say you really should pick on Dad. I think especially because he's recovering from surgery.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Well, anytime somebody has a chicken wing like that, it's not always good to make fun of them.
Yeah, if I was
in
there,
this case,
I'd be
it may
poking him.
I
I'd be poking him in the arm.
Can't hit me very hard.
Remember when Bart had his, or not? I'm talking about Bart Simpson, not our Bart. When Bart had his tattoo removed, and what was it? Maggie that was poking him in the arm. Ouch! Quit it. That would be me if I was over there by Garner right now.
Y'all are so mean.
Oh,
You know, we
I
love
have a
you.
right to be mean. I've been helping take care of you. You kept me up until 3 in the morning one night,
What's the
and then
Stephen
woke me up
King
at 5.
movie of the guy who the guy who has the automobile accident by the stalker who quote takes care of him? That's what it's been like here.
Misery.
That's it.
Now it's
Misery. That's
mine's going.
exactly.
See, that's
It's
what
all right.
happens.
It's all right. He's fine. He's fine.
Just wait. They're about to come in here and break my ankles.
Not yet.
I thought I was just twisting tails. I didn't know I was breaking ankles, but I'm flexible.
It comes with title. All right. Listen, you gotta get a little strong arm sometimes. You got strong arm. Now you got to strong arm people back.
All right.
That's the way this goes.
All right,
I just think that $1 is too cheap a fine to be fighting over that. Here's 3 for my next 3.
It's all right. We'll donate. We'll give Bart a whole $5.
I'm
Oh,
pretty sure
dear.
I'm going to have to pay into that next week because currently it doesn't look like my Comcast is going to come up for me to be able to do a demo after this. I'm still tethered to my phone, so I get to make fun of myself, which I'm adept at. So,
Yes, you are.
but if anyone was interested in a one shot, just reach out to me and we'll schedule something within the next week.
There is somebody that I'm trying to get into our group, so definitely would want to pull him along for, as I mentioned earlier, for session 0 at least.
Okay,
And
absolutely.
if I may suggest, if that doesn't work out or you need something more in depth, we're talking about FGU, right? Fantasy Grounds Unity.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I was part of the group with Belinda, DM Greg, and a few of the other active DMs that put together the training session outline for Baldwin Games, where we did for 6 months. We ran 2-hour games that were really intended as training. So while I am physically out of the country starting Sunday for 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, I can't help physically. But I can either give you the outline or they could see if there's a VDD Virtual Dungeons and Dragons weekend events that are available for those intro games. They tend to be subsidized by Wizards. I think they're only $5 instead of being 15 for a 2-hour game. So they could not only get the help from Pankrin, sorry, that's how I see your name, but also from doing like a 2-hour game with Baldwin. Because I feel like it's never enough. One session with Fantasy Grounds is never enough. Even as a FGU DM, I'm still learning stuff every day.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That is something I really want to.
And I forget a ton about Fantasy Grounds all the time.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, sometimes I'm like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. Or like, oh, there's a new way to move around the map. Great.
Or, oh, I forgot I could do that.
Like when Unity first came out, I was laughing my ass off because moving around the map was one of the hardest things. But then a player showed me how you could just push the wheel and move it with the mouse if you have a wheel on there. Now I'm sure everybody knows that one. But before we were relying on that golden compass for a while. Some of you may remember that.
Yeah, I thought Fantasy Grounds C Classic was better than FGU, but it was really harder to run on your computer because you had like port forward and all that shit.
Yeah. I mean, it's all taste. Not being newer isn't always better. I'll give you
part
that.
of it was not taste. Part of it was technology, right? Because like Roll20 is running on the cloud or web or I don't know what Jesus, and like the only time that people can get access to my FG is when I have it up and running.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood. I thought you were comparing Classic to Unity, all Fantasy Grounds, but you're comparing Fantasy Grounds to Roll20, right?
Sure, yeah, sort of, yeah. No, but also,
okay.
I think Fantasy Grounds Classic was better than Fantasy Grounds Unity. But I'm still playing Fantasy Grounds Unity because, like, you know what? I got to make the transition to the future. And I'm not going to be the only guy not embracing the singularity. right? You guys
No, no
can't
worries.
all become computer bots without me.
For my games that I've started running, I have found that having a good mix of the tabletop and just theater of the mind. To be fair though, I'm also a very like on the creative side. That's like where my job path is leading me. That's where a lot of things are leading me. So I have an easier time with it. My fiance, for the life of him, hates theater of the mind. So he has to have a virtual tabletop. I have games that are both completely just theater of the mind, even for battles. Um, but then I've started doing a little bit of both. So basically, just utilizing the maps of like a VTT and just the ability to store character information, but letting my players do physical rolls because we're all dice goblins. So we have a lot of dice. And so we'd rather use um physical dice versus the any of the random number generators essentially. So there's little things like that. You don't always have to jump into the future and push yourself forward too far. You can ease into it and do a little bit of both because I've gotten to a point where I can run games on fantasy grounds, I can run completely without, and I can run with a mix of both. So having that versatility is really, really nice as a DM and stuff to look
You,
into.
Hey, Lindsay,
you're. Oh, sorry, Jerry. Go ahead.
I was just listening to Lindsay, and did I miss the start of your? I know you had talked about doing one-offs at one point in time. Did I miss the start of that somewhere along the
No,
way?
you actually have not. I have not gotten around to it. My little sister wants to play in one, but I have been kind of, especially with dad's surgery, I've been in this transient stage. I graduated college a couple weeks ago, and so I'm trying to.
Congratulations! What'd you
Congrats.
graduate
So I graduated with a bachelor's in arts and sciences with a comp sci degree specifically from UGA, but I am trying to find my equilibrium before biting off
Can we
more than I
play
can
Pomp and
chew.
Circumstance? Blah, 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 blah.
But I am very interested in learning how to use Fantasy Grounds better as a game master, and
But which system?
the theater of the mind stuff particularly since I'm kind of I've started playing for the first time, although it's been around forever. I started playing Rifts about a year ago.
Mhm.
And of course, there's no support for that anywhere on any systems because it's so old. But it would, so that hybrid of running Theater of the Mind with Fantasy Grounds, I'm really, really interested in, so that I could
Yeah,
Yeah, that.
adapt
it's
to that.
definitely something. As soon as I get settled and get to going those one-offs to start off, I definitely would let you know because you and my younger sister both really want to play, and I found I really like running, but I'm a bit of a chaotic DM. I can't lie. I very much just full send, and I let the rule of cool go a lot more than I probably should, but it's okay. Everybody has fun. That's what matters.
You bring up an excellent point about theater of the mind. I'll share with this group that back in 2020 is when I came back to the game. I'd been out, as a lot of us were, for a while. And at Gen Con Online, which was supposed to be my first Gen Con in person before it got canceled, talk about bad timing, I played my first D&D game in 3 editions. Well, yeah, 3 editions really. And what was fascinating to me, it was a Brazilian DM from Baldwin who was covering. He was a substitute DM, so he just wung it, so to speak. But it was full theater of the mind, and I had such a great time. My mind was actively involved, and I talked to him. We've become friends. I've talked to him afterwards. He says he only runs theater of the mind, and he gave me practical reasons in Brazil about having to buy the stuff and set things up and what have you. But what was so fascinating was, I mean, it's actually harder for me to be engaged. It's more engaging in theater of the mind. And as a DM, the more theater of the mind I put into my games, no matter the platform, the more work it really is. And it's kind of cool. I mean, I'm kind of tired at the end of the game, but I agree that theater of the mind is my favorite way to play. I don't do it as often, and it's special. Done well, it really is just phenomenal. And I applaud you for using something like Fantasy Grounds as kind of like a backbone, or even maybe even an outline for your it sounds like for your game. And I would love to see that in action when you run one, even if it's just as an observer.
Yeah, no, definitely. And that's something I'm a relatively new DM. I actually ironically didn't start DMing until my dad came to me and said, "Lindsay, I can't run these games at GaryCon. I got overbooked. Can you run them?" I looked at him and I said, "Okay, I've never run a game though." And he says, "Oh well." It's like, "Okay, here we go, I
Hey,
guess."
all of us started somewhere. All of us had to start somewhere.
Yeah, I literally was thrown in the deep end, but it was a very good experience, and the players at my table were
Excellent.
funny. They were really funny. They were like, "Well, had you not told us you were a beginner DM, we never really would have guessed." And I was like, "You're lying to me to make me feel better. Nah, y'all are lying." And they were like, "No, seriously, can we stay for your next game if you don't have enough players?" I was like, "Sure."
That's the best
Okay,
compliment you're gonna get. Congrats.
yeah, I was floored. It was a really good experience, and I've rolled into I play a long-term campaign with some very good friends of mine, one of which is a forever DM usually, and he's very good at it. Very theater of the mind. He runs only theater of the mind, but it's very enjoyable. But they're all virtual, and it's really really fun. But he was like, "Lindsay, I want to play so bad. I want to be a player," and I was like, "All right, fine. I'm gonna homebrew a whole thing." How many hours have I spent actually planning? I can't answer that question because I don't think I've spent more than, like, a couple hours actually planning for my sessions. I just nosedive into it and have a
Lucky
general
you.
outline of what I'm looking for, and they've loved every second of it.
See, that I envy that because I'm the exact opposite. I'll spend 20 hours prepping for a game and then spend another 3 hours fretting about it before game time, 6 hours before game time. I'm an over a prepper.
See
Nathan, who's my partner, will tell you that I'm constantly over
oh my
prepping.
gosh. See, usually it really depends,
Wait, wait,
my
wait,
fiance
wait, wait.
really
I
the
just
overprepper.
heard Mark. Hold on, Lindsay. I just heard Mark say that he's a prepper. So I
What?
think
What did
I
I
My
think
just
dad
walk into? What did I just
on his
volunteer for?
now. Do you know what a prepper is though? Like those are the guys that prepare for the end of the world. You know, a
No,
prepper.
no,
Uh huh.
no.
Uh huh.
I mean, I do buy 2 pairs of shoes if I really like them because I may not find them, and I do buy a lot of food in case there's ever like a problem. But that just comes from me growing up in a civil war torn country during. I have a fun background. I was laughing at most Americans when they were going
America?
out
What?
getting.
Where you got America in the 50s? What's a Civil War torn country?
I was born and raised in Lebanon in the Middle East. I'm a fun character.
Yeah, who?
So, but what was interesting is like I've gone through like similar to the lockdown that we had in COVID. When bombs are going down, you do the same thing. You stay home, you lock your doors. But what was funny is everybody here was going for toilet paper, and I was telling Nathan, I was like, food. When we start losing food supplies or meat becomes short, that's when the real problems are going to happen. We got to go to Canada. We got to flee when that happens in the U.S. So, and it almost happened. Anyway, I got distracted. I don't know where we were with the topic. Sorry.
No, I
Oh, I
love
was
stories of
complimenting.
Beirut in the 80s. Those are great stories, man. That's awesome. That was like a crazy time.
Yeah, just give me a platform and give me a virtual drink. I'm drinking my virtual beer right now.
Like actually, you know what? Like, is virtual beer non-alcoholic? Because actually,
No, it's alcoholic,
Clousters
but it doesn't floor
has
you.
this new non-alcoholic that I really love. It's
It's only
Clousters
virtually
Dark.
alcoholic.
Exactly. I'm actually drinking tea, but
No,
Mine's not so
Clousters.
virtual right now.
Clousters has this new non-alcoholic beer that's like this dark bock that is just awesome and almost really I enjoy.
Jerry, you
yeah,
were
that
saying
was.
Sorry.
something?
Oh,
I thought I saw Jerry speak up. I was just trying
All right.
to
All I
make
Hey,
did was chime in and say
Margaret's
that
here. I gotta
mine's
go. Sorry, guys.
mine's not so virtual right
Hey,
now.
was someone saying they were going to play a game after this?
that's the
Yeah,
demo that's not ready.
we might be able to. Unfortunately, Bart's having some issues, so he's with his internet, so he's not going to be able to host a game. I put a message out there. I was asking to see if any of the DMs here that use Fantasy Grounds, if anybody's got like a half a dozen 5e low level pre-made characters just ready to go.
I
think
can't,
it'd be great.
I do a lot of Fantasy Grounds and I do a lot of Roll20, but I can't give you 5e.
That's
I
cool.
can give you Savage Worlds. I can give you Savage Worlds Runelands, Path 1. I can give you Traveler. I can give you Shadow the Demon Lord.
That's cool. The idea was just to drop some people
What would you like to
into
try?
a game
you just
that
make
a lot of
characters
people are already familiar
and learn
with.
systems.
And
what do you think? We can make characters, learn systems, whatever you guys want. I do a lot of off
not right now. I was
systems.
just looking for a quick hack and slash. Nothing involved. Just drop in and kill. That's it. So,
well, I do have the DCC primer, but I don't know if you're gonna like it because it's all death. You actually each have to play 5 characters, and if your characters make it to the end, they become first level. But you all start as what they call what is the word they use in DCC? Like dump farmers or stump farmers. It means shit for gog farmers. I don't know, grog farmers. I don't know. It means shit farmers. I don't know what
I didn't know that. That makes me want to try that out just for that. That sounds fun.
So what it is like in Portal and the Stars, you are all like peasants, right, of different ages and shit, and you get each of you guys get 5 characters, and you all rush into this portal because you all want wealth and witches and changing your life. But the only characters that make it to the end, they get to become like first level, and then they get to choose like thief, whatever, the 4 classes. There's no special classes. There's no paladins. There's no Arakara or like, I'm a child of light. It's just like old characters.
Yeah, old school. But as far as 5e, sadly, my computer is having conniption fit, so I'm on my phone right now. Otherwise, I might have been able to put something.
Well, if you guys want, no, I mean, this is me, Obadiah. I'm really willing, man. I can set up a fantasy ground game like Too Sweet. If you guys want to come on, we can try it, or we can do some more experiments. We could all together experiment with the platform, which is really, I think, one of the coolest things about VTTs.
Yep. You know what? I really want to encourage you to also, if you, particularly if you want somebody to try something that is a little new. Like most of the people are familiar with like 5e, which is why I suggested that. But I would love for folks to, the club members to start just putting out calls to play in the Discord here. Say, hey, anybody want to get together in a couple hours to do this? I was just, I don't want anything, and I'm not prepared to actually hang around for a long time tonight. I was just looking for a quick, 1 hour tops type of event. But it unfortunately doesn't sound like any of the folks.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. All my stuff is like convention style. It's like 3 hours.
Yeah,
right? Like,
yeah, that would be far too long for
3 hours playing through. I'm sorry, man.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Yeah.
One thing I would suggest on Fantasy Grounds, if anybody has the Adventures a Week, the AAW mini tome of dungeons, which I do have, but if anybody else has it, that one has really great one-shots. They're really quick.
Which one, Mark?
Adventure a Week, AAW. Jonathan, the gentleman that's in charge of that game.
Right on. What are you saying about it?
Mini Dungeon Tome has really cool one-shots that are very quick. You just plop them in.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, those are. I'm. If we've got people who know how to use Fantasy Grounds, it's an hour tops for their little adventure.
Neat. That sounds great.
They might go longer, if you do a lot of narrative or what have you. But if you just wanted to, raid a dungeon or dig up a tomb or whatever, it's pretty quick. But yeah, this was great.
Yeah.
Congrats, everybody.
Yeah, it's awesome. Does anybody have anything that they like to share? I mean, we should treat this kind of like a cocktail party. We're all hanging out, we're talking. There's really no formality.
Is there a regular game going on? I'm just curious. On Thursdays, my Thursdays just opened up. I didn't know if there was anybody doing anything on Thursday evenings with any regularity.
Bart does most of the scheduling for Chaotic Good Gaming. Bart, can you speak to that? Oh, we
currently I don't believe we do have Saturdays.
I think
most of our games are either run
Thursday.
Oh, Thursday. I'm sorry.
One thing I do want to speak to on Thursday, though, real quick, is that there one Thursday a month is set aside for the Pixels and Dice general meeting, and then another Thursday set aside for the board meeting. So that's a couple Thursdays there that would have to be worked around. Fortunately, those are 2 weeks apart, so that leaves at least a couple of weeks out of the month where there are.
But even on those weekends, I mean those weekdays, we could do something immediately after that. Like there's nothing
Absolutely. Yeah. We should, the meetings shouldn't be that long when it comes down to it, particularly since we're virtual. It's not like we're sitting down. When Garner. When he drugged me out to my first Lions Club meeting, the practice was, we would have a sit-down dinner. That takes a chunk of time. The actual meeting itself didn't take that long.
Yep. You got to say the pledge. You got to sing the national anthem. You got to, there's all sorts of pomp and circumstance that goes with an in-person meeting that we don't have to do.
Yeah. And I had to stand next to Garner so many times and just listen to him sing, and it was excruciating.
So wrong. So mean.
Love you.
Yeah. So, by the way, Eric did post in one of the chat channels above that he's got something going on and he'd be here about 9:00. But I don't know whether he meant. Well, it doesn't matter because 9:00 is going to be late and we're going to be on to something different, I guess. But
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have anything. If anybody has anything they'd like to share, or just something on the lighter side that they would like to discuss, I'm all ears. Anybody?
I'm good.
From the quiet folks, like my husband, who's always silent. I mean, there are a few others that we haven't talked a lot. Because those
to be
of us
honest,
that can
I'm still
talk.
kind of doing this at work too, so.
Oh, well, that's true. I forget the time, and it's funny because we kind of work together, although we're in different cities right now. I'm down in Palm Springs. He's up in the mountain, and I forget. He's probably playing bookie from the office desk. Sorry about that. Well. What about the other folks? Evolution, I think, and Gus in LA. I haven't heard them say anything. I mean, I could talk all day, but
I'm Evo or Robin, which is my real name. I go by both interchangeably. I'm not talking a lot because I'm on a mobile setup. I'm with my family. It's my grandma's birthday today.
Awesome.
But tomorrow after I go to sleep because it's 2 a.m. right now. So I don't want to be too loud, and I'm not sure about my microphone quality. That's why I'm not talking a lot.
You sound good.
We hear you, but we totally respect that. And, hello to you over in Europe, it sounds like, by the time zone difference.
Yep. Germany.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yep.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I have a feeling we're going to be attracting a few international folks. So, that's all a good thing.
Hey, if anybody read my bio, you've got 3 in me. Well, 2, because one's U.S.
Yep.
And Canada counts, right? I can get my UTF buddies to start joining. They're always always interested. Yeah, they're always interested in doing things. They're an amazing group that doesn't really travel much because they're just based out of the Greater Toronto area. But a lot of the DMs and members there, we travel one way or another. Like we're either based out of somewhere else or we do a lot of events elsewhere. So it's kind of cool.
Oh, by the way, I'm just kind of curious. I know Gen Con has been mentioned today as well as Gary Con. Is anybody going to Origins in June?
The only thing I've heard about that is Baldwin Games is desperate for DMs. Desperate. If any of you want to go, they are paying. Like they are paying. They're paying for everything and paying you and giving you food credits and. So if you want to go,
Yeah, where is it?
I don't know.
Columbus, Ohio.
Can't go wrong.
When is it?
It
Like
is
soon.
mid-June. I'd have to look at my calendar here.
Garner, you think you'll be healed up fast enough?
It is,
Yes, I will not need you in mid-June if you need to go.
It is the 22nd through the 25th.
Yes.
Well, I was going to say,
I-
Garner, if you've got like DMs that you know that you could vouch for, because generally, I mean, they're desperate, but generally they like to see someone that either someone knows that they're going to put in that position or that has worked with them before. But the bald man, if you've ever met Dare, he's really they really need help, and I wish I could go.
Hey,
but
I'll
I
go,
can't.
man, if someone will give me an intro.
Oh yeah, no, are you
I'm
kidding?
all over it, man. This is Obadiah here. I'm totally all over it. If you guys slide me an intro, man, I'll try and go.
Are they
And I'll
looking
even
for,
like wear my like Pixel and Dice T-shirt, which I don't have yet.
are they looking for virtuals? Because
No.
Origin
No, they're looking
a
for
physical.
that one. Yeah, if I remember correctly, reading the Discord posts, that one, although it has a branded virtual, it's just the regular virtual D&D weekend branded as Origins. But they're looking for in-person DMs. They'll provide rooms, they'll provide badges, they'll provide like a food voucher, and they'll pay.
Dude, I'm in, man. I'm in. Give me contact. That's awesome. I can do that weekend off.
I'll forward you some info.
Awesome, bro. Thank you.
I already bought my ticket, and I'm semi-supporting an indie game company that I work with.
Well, yeah, no, if you've already got plans, obviously that won't work, right? So.
But I was just hoping that maybe somebody from the club was going to be there, and I just kind of say hi while I was there.
What would they want us to play? I'm totally into this. This is like I play everything. Like
it's all 5e. You're gonna love it since you didn't have that ready.
Yeah, but isn't their own? It's their own like 5e stuff, right? It's their own like 5e complementary product, right?
No, it's all Adventures League compatible. They only run AL stuff. It's either going to be the Story League stuff that that comes from Wizards directly. So either pre-release stuff from Wizards or like when Dragonlance came out, for example, we did a bunch of Dragonlance pre-releases. Or it's the Dreams of the Red Wizard storyline, the DRW.
I love the Red Wizard.
Or it's the what's the last thing? The Moonshade House. That's their own stuff. But all of that's 5e compatible, all AL legal. So if you're up on all that and you've done that, then they'll look at it. So, but yeah, I'll send you once this is over. I'll
Awesome,
send
brother.
you a link.
Thank you so much. That'll be such fun. Thank you so much. But we got to also then the committee of advertisement has to come up with some handouts that I can throw around.
Well, I mean, most of the guys that are going to be there are going to be very active. Most of the folks that are going to be there, sorry, try to use a gender non-specific term. Most of the folks that are going to be there are going to be very active in the community anyway. And you just tell them Pixels and Dice and give them the link. And
I know, but like we should have a little handout. Like we can make a little like. I mean, I got a photocopier, whatever, right? Like just a little thing.
Oh,
kids.
did I just hear you volunteering to design, create, and distribute?
I heard that. I heard that.
I can only cut and paste.
Hold on. So I've been trying to get settled. I was going to actually work to design a proper logo for us that's unique from just the Lions Club International logo and just the Lions logo in general. That being said, we do have at least temporary ones that Shelly lovingly made us for Jerry to hand out. I believe a couple weekends ago, right? Or like a month ago. Something like that, Jerry.
It was about a month ago, and again, it was great. I got several into people's hands,
Okay.
and it was great. It's and you weren't here when I was kind of plugging. There's another small con coming up in October that I was thinking about having an actual Lions Club table at.
Oh yeah, definitely. And that's definitely I wish I had been here. I've been running all over the place today. Went and saw the new Spider-Man movie, so I've kind of been a little frazzled all over the place. But it's
Wait, there's a new one I missed.
yeah, it's it's the new animated one.
Yeah.
The continuing the Spider-Verse, basically. It's interesting.
So yeah, whatever. I was kind of looking for what kind of support the club could offer for that one.
Yeah, so definitely as I'm really hopeful to find my equilibrium. I'm sorry, Jerry, I did not mean to cut you off. I thought you were finished. My apologies.
I was all but finished. I didn't have anything worthwhile after that.
Well, so like I said, I'm just trying to find my equilibrium a little bit after graduating. And so but once I do, I have a list of things. I'm doing a couple things for Chaotic Good Gaming. I'm doing a couple things for GaryCon design-wise. I'm waiting to hear back about a couple jobs. There's a lot of things going on. But that being said, I really do want to get us a proper logo made. And if I can't do it, I will definitely look into outsourcing it. However, I love digital art. I love art in general. So at the very least, uh, bye, Dad. I'll see you upstairs. He just said he needed to drop for those of you who don't have the context. But basically, I do want us to have a personal logo. Like, I want us to have something um, that's very us. And so I will get at least a couple sketches out just to get some ideas. And this can be something we could do multiple different variations, vote on it again, and then we can use that to narrow down flyers. I'll again do multiple different copies, things that we could pick from. I could do multiples. And especially for people who have photocopiers or anything like that, like bigger printers, we wanted to do banners. This can all be stuff that we raise money for in the future as well. So we could start small with small things that are easy to source, easy to take care of, and little things like that. I rambled. I'm sorry.
No, you did great. You did not ramble at all. You were very concise.
I'm sorry. I fell asleep. What'd you say?
Shut up, Chris. Your opinion is valid. You don't get
Love you.
At least
I
this
love
time it isn't like I need this tomorrow. it's it's out. It's in October. This one will.
Okay. Okay, good. Yeah, that'll definitely give us some time, and for us going to Gen Con and stuff like that, there'll be at least some flyer that we will have to hand out. That
Wow.
actually was more. That was something I was going to roll with. Working on something in the pixelated style to fit the name, and be very iconic because there are very few Lions clubs that actually have super customized logos. Although there are some very nice ones out there. That's not to say that there aren't at all, but I do want to go along the lines of playing to the name very well. So it'll be some kind of
I noticed what you did there with a few of those words, so hat off to you.
I like the idea of remember Adventure, the first ever computer game or whatever. I like if you did pixels, like a pixel screen, like whatever, a 10x10 with dice or whatever. That'd be pretty fucking awesome.
So
But I don't mean to hamper your creativity at all. I'm sure you will think of something wonderful too.
yeah.
Oh, great. You just used hamper and creativity in the same sentence. So now we're going to get a logo that looks like a clothes
No.
hamper of some sort.
That's funny.
No,
A pixelated clothes
you're gonna
hamper.
mishear me and you think it's gonna be hamsters, and now we're gonna get hamsters dancing.
The key is to suggest what we want, not how the creative person should create it.
Exactly.
What we want, not how.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I'm specifically going to make a pixelated trash can to send to Chris. And then Bart's going to get a little pointy
That's going to be
hat.
my new avatar.
You're welcome.
But you know what? One of the suggestions I had, and it's funny that you actually read my butchered text, which I had to edit. I do not. My fingers do not like the text touch-based phone keyboard. I'm sorry, but I fixed it. One of the things that I think would be really cool is that it's unique but also recognizable. So I don't know. I don't remember what the Lions Club colors are. I think one of them is a golden yellow, isn't it?
It's blue and yellow. Yeah. So it's like a royal blue and yellow gold. I actually
not at all like the Rotary colors, but okay.
No.
So in that case, then maybe one of the colors should be that exact same PMS number, just so that somebody seeing that, again, a suggestion, could go, aha, I see that. Because it, the brain connects either with color or with design or whatever. So
also, as a ex-skater, I would like things that we could use to sticker bomb places. Like have a logo, like a Banksy kind of style logo that's immediately recognizable. Like that's us, right? Because I'm in Columbus, I'm sticker bombing that town.
There's definitely a couple options to run with, and that's the whole thing. This is all going to be a process. And like I said, I will make multiple different copies, multiple different versions, multiple different colors, lots of things for us to choose from because this is a process that we are going through together. It's not just me doing a design. This is all of us together picking what's going to be representing us. That being said, I have previously done some like paintings of our Lions Club logos previously, so I have a pretty good gauge of the colors. I have a pretty good understanding of all that, thank goodness. That'll help significantly. And with my connections to our Alpharetta Lions clubs, especially with my mom and dad in the positions that they are, that's another good option. So, oh, Jerry, I like that one too. I like that. I was thinking another option is having having a die in like a lion's mouth, like to the side and having the die. So these are all things that I'll do some concept sketches of in the next couple weeks and get it up as quickly as I possibly can. And you guys will also see a lot of the little yes, I agree, Chris. I agree. But there will be a lot of the channel names also. I've been getting around to it. I promise. But a couple of the channel names are going to change. It's the content's not going to change, but it's going to reflect our name choice. Now that it's definitely solidified, this is what we're doing. It's Pixels and Dice. This is what we've voted on. This is what we've decided. So I'm going to start branding everywhere that you see LCI right now is going to start moving over to PND. And then the title will be Pixels and Dice Lions Club of the channel category. So it's definitely going to start shifting, that we'll start seeing this essentially us making a name for ourselves and us grasping onto Pixels and Dice and making it our own, not just a name. So and you'll start seeing all that change. The content's not changing, it's just the names, I promise.
So you're gonna do
branding in action. Branding in action. It's not that much change. Are you risk averse? Are you one of those people that goes, change, and you run?
No,
oh, that's me.
He's moved to Texas from Georgia already once, and I'm sure he'll move across the ocean at some point. Knowing him.
Shh, hush.
Wait. Oh. I didn't say you were doing it.
I still haven't let any family know.
I didn't say you were doing it. You gave yourself.
He's still in Georgia as far as Lions Club's concerned. Leave him alone.
I have an offer. If anyone wants to, have you guys ever played Traveler and made a Traveler character? In the old days, when you made a Traveler character, it could actually die during character creation.
That's funny.
Those days.
I don't remember now if you guys know the old days, right?
Yeah.
But I have Traveler up on Fantasy Ground. We could just experiment with making characters on Fantasy Ground and just chatting away if you guys want.
They used didn't they use the mongoose rules for that one? Not the
so you can't die, you can only get maimed.
Yeah.
You can only lose arms or eyes or legs, right?
So much better.
No dying for you because you're wussies.
I don't know a game master that ever actually killed somebody and made that rule. Usually there was a homebrew out of it, like what they did with the mongoose. You got maimed, you did something else.
If no one gets, like, if at least two characters in my scenario don't end up dead or near death, I think it's a wasted day. Like they have not had the full environment, involvement and trauma and what's it called, drama and passion.
I'm talking about during character generation because
that too.
It really sucks to go 2 hours into character generation because you went 4 terms in the military only to go, oh, I just died.
Man, I just think that's awesome. I have no problems with that, right? It's like back in the old day when you had to roll your dice and you got to roll only 3 dice and you had to roll 3 6-sided dice. And where they roll, the first was strength, the second was whatever, and that's what your attributes are. And then you had to figure out what character you were going to be from your attributes, man. There's a little to be said for the old school rule.
I mean, I would be interested to try that once, but you got to keep in mind that you need content warnings for these kinds of things. Because in today's happy, fuzzy-go-lucky TTRPG world, we need that. And also, some people don't necessarily want to play an RPG so that they can die. I laugh, but I had a player once who told me offline that they had some triggers. And, I could tell you that their triggers would have triggered 2 or 3 times just doing that description of that character creation. So just obviously, if we do that internally, cool. Just put a little disclaimer, stick it on there.
No, I
If I
respect
know
what
it,
you're saying. No, it's very great. You're gonna have to roll me in, man, because I'm a little over the top. I have worked as a recovery coach and been a paramedic and stuff like that, but I'm also a little like carrot and stick. So
no,
yeah,
I'm not
it's
reining
like,
you in. It's more like I'm just letting you know this is what I'm thinking.
but like I was playing a game once and the person couldn't do spiders, right? So what do we do
No,
when a
that's
giant
common.
spider attacks, right? They
That's
gotta like
that.
hide and not help.
Well, that's common. And what I've done in the past is if someone like if the module is called, Reign of the Spider Queen, that's kind of
Or
like a
just
problem.
lost, or like like the original
They may
D&D,
not
right?
know that, some players, but you could substitute the creatures, you could change things around. So there are ways to veil that, but we could talk more offline. I wasn't trying to curb you or anything. That I don't like that, but it was more like,
I
hey,
don't feel
just be
curbed. I
wary of
feel
that.
engaged. Thank you
Oh, good.
so much for engaging.
Yeah, just be wary of that.
To that point, just a small little thing. The friend that I actually play with for my long term campaign has a system of red light, yellow light, basically. And you
Yep,
use little emoji. You don't have to say a word. You don't have to explain yourself to anybody, but you literally just drop a red emoji in the channel. And when this red emoji, it's a specific one specified in the channel description or in the like a pinned message in there.
sure.
But you drop it and we say, okay, how long do you need a break for? Or if it's a red one, if it's a yellow one, it's the break. If it's a red, then it's full out stop.
Right.
Which is it's been used a couple times because we are very role play heavy for how we play, and so there's sometimes that things are a little too close to home for some people, and they're gonna be heavy topics. It's
Yeah. A-
realistically speaking, in a story world, it's hard to avoid those. So,
And
but it
you might be talking up. Oh, sorry.
I was
no,
gonna
you're
pop in
okay.
like I got kicked
Didn't have
off a
any
game once of Conan because they had the bad guys were called they're like, let's kill the black ones, and I was like, hey, hold on, let's take a break and let's not say that. Let's say let's kill the old ones, the gray ones, the ancient ones, right? But then they kicked me off because I made everyone feel uncomfortable because I just didn't want to be racial. I don't know.
Group dynamics are odd, but going back to your comment about what sounds like you're describing are safety tools, right? And I'm very big about those. Even in the group that Origin and I play in every other week, which has been running for 2 years now, it happens to be a Pathfinder group, and I did it as a reward for all the other Forever DMs who I played in their table, and I had never DM'd really except 2 or 3 one shots, and here I am DMing a whole campaign in Fantasy Grounds. One of the things I like about Fantasy Grounds is it has, in my opinion, one of the best plugins or extensions for tools, and it's literally a hazard sign and a stop sign. Right? It's 2. There are others out there. I like this one because it's really straightforward. If you put up the hazard sign, like you said, it's kind of like, hey, it's a slow or a break, or it's a problem that might be coming. And I'd rather get 10 of those than one stop sign. And then if you put up the stop sign, it's a stop octagonal shaped red with a big white hand putting up, stop. And it's very effective. And it always amazes me when I've got a player, I love him to death. He's one of my players. He's very foul mouthed. And it's not a trigger or anything for me, but I like, okay, when the 13th F bomb in a minute is dropped, you're kind of like, all right, we're done. We're past that. Let's keep going. But yet, I describe something a little too vocal and he happens to be eating and he's like, stop. I'm eating. I can't hear anything about disease. I'm like, but you're in the jungle and your characters are getting, dysentery and disease. But so everybody's different, and that's cool. And whatever tools we can use, I'm all for that too. But yeah, I mean, it can be as simple as put up an X in front of your face if someone can see your face, right? That's what I do in person with my games. Keeping it simple.
I think having a good discourse with your players is, even if they're just one-shot players, is so important too. Just having people that are comfortable enough to say, "Hey, I'm having a problem." Or even if it's somebody privately said something like, "Hey, I think we should take a break."
Yeah.
It doesn't always have to be something. You don't have to say what's wrong. You don't have
No.
to.
It,
The
it
GM specifically, like,
it's
"What
just a
can I do?"
comfort.
Exactly.
And the only thing I would comment on what you just said, I have a different opinion, respectfully, is I find it's more important for me with one shots with strangers, excuse me, than it is with my regular group, because I do a lot of events. They're all strangers to each other and to me, and I've had situations where, thank goodness for those safety tools, because you get a player that's very comfortable in a home group doing and saying certain things, and I'm like, okay, I can tell this one's going to be a problem player, because they're not used to changing from home group dynamic and what's okay with the home group versus now I'm at a public table with all strangers. I can't say and do these things that may be okay at my home group. But that other than that, I think I agree 100%. And
Honestly, I've probably stumbled over myself a couple times, so, I mean, you know, you got the gist of it though, and I definitely agree, and these are all very good things for all of us to keep in mind. And definitely as things go further down the road, I want to start hosting, like, one-shots for some of our members specifically. I will be kinda spearheading more of the esports side of things. Myself and my fiancé actually competitively played esports ourselves for a while. Um, Bye, Jerry.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, we're gonna wrap up in a minute anyway. So
Yeah, we're almost done.
yeah,
So-
I'm fading myself, but definitely. Bye, Jerry.
Y'all take care.
But yeah, we have a couple things in the works, a little bit here and there. I'll be talking to Chris, opening a discourse, just talking about some things we're planning. Just talking about like, if we're gonna run esports games, how are we gonna do the prize pool, or how are we gonna have people donate, or what's it gonna be like, how are we gonna get people to join in, how are we gonna advertise it, stuff like that. So I have a lot of things going on.
Definitely get me on board for the esports stuff. I watch a lot of esports. I only watch Dota, to be fair, but I'm also kind of into. Well, I am familiar with League of Legends, Counter-Strike, Valorant, all the big stuff. So definitely get me on board with it. I'm thinking it might be a little hard to get things going, because with esports there's always like the huge buy-in perspective that you have to get over. But if we get something going, I'm definitely into that. So yeah.
that sounds like a great idea. I'm not much of an esports fan, but I love playing PC games. And I'd be willing to do Overwatch or whatever, just to just to participate. I also had an idea, something along the lines of like a skill competition that's not like. Let me toss a scenario out there. Let's say, like, I was just talking about Icarus. Let's say you have, maybe we have like 4 or 5, 6 players that all have Icarus, and we wanted to have some type of a contest. Now, this isn't necessarily fundraising, but we could figure out a way how to monetize this. It could be again, this could even be revenue generated from streaming this type of thing. But let's say we have a few people who want to play Icarus, but you want to have a competition Now, Icarus is a co-op game, so how do you have a competition? In my mind, everybody would start the same mission at the same time solo. And we could all stream them and bring the streams together. I could help people do that.
Speedrunning tournament.
Yeah, do a speedrunning tournament. And so, we could see who could finish, basically placement and, for those who are adept at running missions. And
don't forget
anything like that.
Don't forget, Magic the Gathering Arena is a platform that lends itself to a lot of that. I mean, $1 million prizes aside, I'm not good enough to even qualify for qualifications for that. But
and we're gonna have to figure out some things out. And this really is a discussion for another time. But when it comes to the tournaments, the problem with online tournaments is that you don't have as many controls around potential cheaters. You're only depending on the built-in anti-cheat protections of games. And unfortunately, I happen to work I am closely associated with some game developers, and basically, if you have a game online, somebody's cheating in it. Is the gist of what I'm trying to get to.
Anti-cheat can only be so good.
Yeah, when you have the big arena esports tournaments where you have the organizers providing all of the equipment and everybody's in the same location in a controlled environment, it's a lot easier to make things make sure things are legit and have those really big prizes. But I'm hoping
you just burst my bubble.
Streaming.
You just burst my bubble, because I, as a former IT professional, I never for once thought, because this is like 15 years ago, but I never for once thought, hey, someone in China or wherever, but I'm pointing the finger at the bad actors, could be hacking this thing and actually faking the game remotely. Because you're right, without controlling location on controlled systems through controlled platforms, right, where it's a closed network, you really don't know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
To your point.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, there goes my bubble.
Yeah. No. We'll figure out how to put your bubble back together if we can. I think we should go ahead and wrap up the. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording in just a moment. If there's anything somebody wants to toss in real quick, I'll let them get in their 2 cents worth, and then I'll stop the recording. So if you have something to say, go.
Mr. Tail Twister. Oh, sorry, Evo. I was gonna harass Bart. go ahead. I get a little bit.
I'm thinking we could also do tournaments in more casual games like Golf It, or maybe even board games via means of like Tabletop Simulator and stuff. Obviously, that has a buy-in component to it because you have to buy the game to play them. But there's some competitiveness to those games.
Yep.
And here's a thought. Instead of the pot, and I don't know how esports works, so forgive me. I'm not a gambler, even though I live in Vegas now. Here's a thought. If we change the dynamics where the money goes to the club or to benefit, to benefit the causes that we support, maybe then there's no incentive to cheat.
Yeah.
There's a chance, and I think
it's a little hard because people usually play for money.
Yeah, I think it would come to a point that we would have to give some sort of reward for winning. But the entry fee would go partially towards the pot at the end. But the rest of it, like a large percentage, would go towards basically paying for the reward at the end of the line for everybody, while the other half or whatever it may be, whatever the split may be, goes to the club. But that way you still have that dynamic of there's something to win, but you're also playing for a good cause at the same time. So it's going to be a lot of dynamics that we're going to have to, I think it's going to be a lot of trial and error, realistically speaking, especially with esports, as both myself and my fiance played. And it's a mess. If you're not winning, it's rough sometimes. So
it's like with classical sports. If you're trying to get a bunch of all-stars together for a beneficiary play or match or whatever, you need to put a prize pool out there because otherwise no one's gonna come.
No, that's fair. That's why I preceded it with the disclaimer of I don't know what I'm talking about, so this may not make sense.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
we'll
It's a
figure
fair
it
point,
out.
though.
We'll
Yeah.
figure stuff out. I really want to try to make. I would love to be able to do a big esports event. Arena style. But that's going to take a lot of resources and a lot of planning. Until we find our footing, I think we need to find some low-hanging fruit that we can start to.
That is totally fair, but let's put in the 3 or 5 year plan, and I will be well entrenched in Vegas by then. I also have some nonprofits that I can tap into that can help, with that. But maybe by then we're established enough to be able to go and talk to Wizards and say, hey, we want to do this thing as a benefit for. And let them provide the infrastructure.
Sounds great. I love it.
And maybe they don't do it in the sense that they're going to run the event and pay all their marketing dollars as a big event. Maybe the first step is, hey, all that equipment you've already set up for your event, how about you keep it around for a week after we get to use it? You get PR credit, and then we get the benefit for this great cause. And then you can break it down a week later, or 3 days later, or even 1 day later.
Sounds good.
Sometimes
So
it's more meaningful.
Dylan actually has had a really good idea, and he watches more esports than I do, so he has a little more. This is kind of back to the esports topic, just because it was something that he wanted to chime in with. But he's not very social, so I get to be the voice, guys. But so basically what he's saying is that when it comes to these esports tournaments, what we could do alternatively is let each team essentially pick a charity that they would like their prize to go to, like the prize to go to represent. And each of these teams picks a charity, and whichever one wins, the money goes to their charity of choice, because that way they can pick something that resonates really, really heavily with them. Like, if somebody wants to play for, even though as a whole the Lions Club is going to be for mental health, we do things for people all the time. That's kind of who we are as a club. We want to help people at any cost. Like if we can help, we want to help. So that might be something to play along with. I wanted to just put that out there for people to think about as well, before we wrapped up. So
that good. Sounds like a great idea, but we do need money for it.
Yes, we do. Yes. All right, guys.
Step at a time.
I say we go ahead and put a bow on this and wrap it up. I will probably be hopping on in our voice channel down here, and after a quick bio, I'll do some. I'll stream my Icarus gameplay in Discord. I'm not going to be streaming to YouTube or Twitch or anything tonight. But I'm just trying to wrap up a mission. So if anybody wanted to see a late stage mission in Icarus, I'll be there.
All right,
guys.
that sounds like.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
Everybody have a great night. Thank you.
Good night, y'all.
Talk to y'all later.
Thank you, Chris, for running.
Yeah.